I look like a Muppet. Sitting up here with you.
You say you look like a Muppet.
I'm a Muppet. Some
Which
animal.
Muppet? Sit back. Chill
Oh.
out. Say you don't feel like a Muppet.
No, just the way I look up in here. You know, I ain't never been no stuff like this. I remind me of Stu. What you got me into, man?
Say I look like a Muppet.
A cartoon character.
Well, I look like you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I look like then.
You like your mother. Shoot, you can't deny that, boy.
Health Talk Land, here we go. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Getting ready for the holiday. Everybody staying safe, staying healthy. I got my sidekick. Not even my sidekick. If it wasn't my only kick, I'm the one that did the kicking.
Yeah, you're right. You got that right. Yes, you did.
Yeah. But happy birthday again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell me how in the time that you've been here, what's changed?
Woo!
Has a lot changed, or like how we got racism, we got a lot of different things going on. How is it different from when you came up?
Well, when you look back, or when I look back, you look back in the 40s. And back in the 40s, you didn't have television to a certain degree. You didn't have phones to a certain degree. You never had those type things. And the technology just, whoa, just come from there back in the 40s up until now, where we're already out in space and everything like that, and we're doing stuff like this. Because when I was in college, we didn't have computers. I mean, not computers, calculators. We had to use a slide rule, to do everything that we needed to do so far as add stuff up and what things that calculators do and everything like that. So what has changed? It's just the atmosphere of the signs of the time with technology and everything like that, and then the people. And racism is rampant. It's just pretty much the same as it was, though we did make some strides, during the Martin Luther King period and everything like that, but they just gradually went back to the same way it was due to politics and everything like that and what's happening now.
So you saying it's back to where it used to be?
Yeah, it's worse. Yeah. Because what happened if you look back in these 70s and everything like that, I mean the 1870s, 1872 and that type of thing, when we had all the blacks in Congress, from Mississippi and so forth and so on, that changed within 3 or 4 years, because they saw, and I'm talking about the white folks and the powers that be, they saw that, hey, we're not going to allow black folk but so much. And that so much is giving you a little piece of the pie, so forth and so on, but not changing the structure as it is because it's systemic. It's all by design.
Right.
So it's not much that it has changed because you made some economic advances and everything like that. But that's only by protocol because that's how they want it to be and make it to be. And I'm talking about that.
No, so for the regular person.
But for the regular person, considering it's pretty much the same because we are still economically deprived.
So it's always been because you think about like when you were growing up, did you have as many like lynchings and like?
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Because when I was in college in 1958, 59, they had lynching over in over in Princess Anne Road. And we, by being there, we couldn't even still go to the movies.
So from that point though, and I think that's the way that people look at it. Like I guess they look at it. I mean, and even you hear today, like some people might be found hung somewhere. Or,
yeah.
But it's almost like you think they traded the actual lynching and dragging and all of that, just using guns now? Because
it's
at the rate that we're dying, it seems. Do you think it's the same rate?
It's the same system, but it's a different design. The system was started in slavery to catch vigilantes, so to speak, to catch runaway slaves. And that was the design for the government, I mean not the government, but the police and everything thing like that back then. So when they set that up, they wanted to catch niggas that was going north or wherever they went and everything like that, and it was for the establishment. It wasn't for to protect anybody, but the establishment and people have money, and that's why they're doing the same thing now that they did back then, because it was no problem for them to do it, and it was nothing to curtail them from doing it. It was the same old game, but now it's just different. Now we can see what's happening, with the videos and everything,
Social media.
and social media. You can see what's happening, and then people get all up in the air and everything like that about it. But what's happening is still the same old thing. Just like last week, a couple of people got killed, and that type of thing. So they don't care about we raising all the hell that we're raising, doing all the demonstrations and everything. They don't care about that. Because if they cared, they would have done something a long time ago when Rodney King got beaten. All that was on television. You know what I mean? So when you look at the system itself, it's designed for us and all people of color to be stamped upon, and put out of existence as much as they can put us out of existence.
Do you think because white people, for the most part, have kind of feel like it seems that more of them have jumped on the bandwagon? I mean, I know back then we had John Brown.
Yeah.
You had different people
Right.
that were part of this that wanted to help and that
Right.
actually did stuff. But
Right.
do you think because of this, all of the conversation now is because there's more white people or young people that's fed up with it?
Oh yeah. And that's the difference is though, because then now you have a lot of white people noticing, what is happening because they can see what is happening. And then with all the films that we have pertaining to black people and racism and every daggone thing like that, then the black museum that we have. So a lot of, and especially the kids these days, what you call them?
Millennials.
The millennials and all those kinds of folks, they ain't going for it. But it's going to take some time for it to be eliminated. But the big thing is that you can do all the grassroots things that you want, but you got to be up there. You got to get them boys upstairs, and that's what I'm talking about. The powers that be.
And that's where the economics come in.
All that economics, and then the New World Order. That's by design. Ever since Bush came into power, and I'm talking about the first Bush.
And what's that to do?
The New World Order to change things so that they can continue to control what's happening now. That just didn't start. That started way back in 1776. With the Illuminati and all those type people that decided that they wanted to be able to control everything. And that's what they're doing now. So their plan is still in effect. They didn't put no date on it or anything like that. They just said, this is what's going to happen. And this is how we're going to do it. And they're doing it to this day. Anything that you have to see that's destructive is by design. And I'm talking about the weather patterns, the climate change and everything like that.
Yep.
All that is by design. You got a lot of stuff out here that's causing these weather problems and everything, thing like that. The technology and everything that people don't know about. And when you say something about it, then it's conspiracy theories.
Right.
It's the other side of the story, but don't nobody want to look at that.
Don't nobody want to hear the side of the story.
No, so I'm crazy.
So how many people do you feel like do you think there's going to be a change or a shift in the sense of how things work as far as like economics, like more black business, because we always had black small businesses, but do you think that they're going to get more I guess support?
It's going to have to be a spiritual awakening, man. And what I mean by that, the spirituality of who we are. And so that you can feel the togetherness, the connection, to each other and that type of thing. That's what's going to have to happen, because otherwise, everything that we are dealing with so far as the government is concerned and the whole nine yards, the economics and every day going thing like that, you have to be able to break that cycle of what these powers that be. And them people started back in 1776 or 1772. That is to be able to control the whole universe because that's why it's so systemic, because it was set in stone back then. You know what I mean? So then you had racism. That was all by design. And then the Constitution, they ain't say nothing about black people. They ain't say nothing about women. They didn't say anything about colored people or the Asians or indigenous people. They ain't say nothing about them.
I mean, it's amazing to me just when you look at the fact back in 1921, women finally got the chance to vote.
And white women.
That's what I mean,
yeah.
white women.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was their father, that was their uncle, that was their.
Yes.
If they didn't allow that for the
Right.
for the people who raised them,
Right.
why
Right.
would they? Why would they care?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't for the white people either. And that's what I'm saying. So it does not matter who you are. If you are